Hi and welcome to Man Cave Projects. So it's the second week of March. I'm in the greenhouse this morning, starting to prepare the greenhouse for growing our own vegetables this year. So with this channel, I don't just want to cover DIY or outdoor building projects. I also want to touch on gardening as well, which is another passion of mine. There is nothing better than growing your own fruit and veg. You've got that satisfaction that you've grown it yourself, and trust me, it tastes a lot better than the stuff you get in the supermarket. So for this video, it's the second week of March and I start to prepare the greenhouse for things like tomatoes and peppers. So I wanted to cover that in this particular video. So as it is the start of March, normally places like Aldi and Lidl have plug plants in. So if you're watching this and it is sort of getting up to the start of March, then keep your eye out on their websites for tomato plants, peppers and fruit trees, because this is the time of year when they cover those. A lot cheaper than the garden centres as well, and they're normally very good plants. We get a lot of yield from those plug plants that we buy from Lidl and Aldi. I want to go through the process in this particular video of actually transplanting those plants from the water gel little type of sort of plastic greenhouses that the plug plants come into the actual trays themselves to actually grow the plants on. So these are the plants that we've got from Aldi and Lidl. So Aldi, the tomato plants, the lavender, the bell pepper and chilli plants, and from Lidl the blackberry and blueberry plant as well. Again, about a third of the price of a garden centre. So these particular plug plants come in almost like a plastic mini greenhouse with a water gel component at the bottom. It is vital that as soon as you get those plug plants home, you transplant them into a tray, because the water gel will keep the plants alive, obviously, while they're in the supermarket, but the roots of the plants are in danger of rotting away because they're basically just sat in water. So it's important to transplant the plants as soon as you get them home. So I've got just a standard compost here, just maybe a 4 or 5 centimetre deep tray. Just make sure you put a little bit of space between them, and it's also vital that if they are sat in that water gel, when you transplant the plants, obviously if they're very wet, do not water the plants or water the compost for about a week. So these plants are actually a week old in this compost. The compost was dry. There was more than enough water surrounding the roots of the plants to keep them going for a week. So in the next couple of days, I'll just start to give them a light water. Again, if you overwater the plants, the root system is going to rot. With regard to the lavender, it's still potential of a frost outside, so I'm going to keep them in these particular types of trays. Again, there's a lot of water in these trays, so I haven't watered them at all in a week. And exactly the same for the bell peppers and the chilli plants. They came in this water gel base, transplanted them as soon as we got them home. They've been sat here for a week. Again, you see, the compost wasn't watered at all, but because there was so much water in the compost surrounding the plants, that's actually wet the rest of the compost in the tray. So again, not watered those for a week. I'm going to leave those for another few days because this is still fairly damp. Again, the biggest thing with these particular plug plants is overwatering will definitely kill them. With regard to the fruit trees, I'm going to find a nice place in the garden for those, and I'll do a separate video on actually planting those, just to show you what they come in. So they're basically just in a root ball system. They'll last a week, couple of weeks in that root ball system if you don't have time to plant them straight away. So with regard to where these plants are kept, I live in the north of the UK. It's still very cold. There's still the potential for quite a heavy frost. Again, second week of March. So these sit on a nice wide windowsill with the top of the propagator sat on just to give them a little bit more extra protection, and they'll stay there on that windowsill until there is little or no risk of a morning frost, and we're kind of looking at maybe the first or second week of April. So in the next video, once these plants are ready to go into the unheated greenhouse, I'll show you transplanting them into the pots and how I prepare the pots in the greenhouse to obviously put the plants into.